Beatles have become a renowned name around the globe. On the 4th of April, 1964, the Beatles held all 5 top positions on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Now that the Fab Four are not complete anymore due to the demise of John and George, will their offspring follow in their father's footsteps? Looks like some of them have gotten involved in music in one way or the other because of the involvement of their father. But which of the Beatles songs indeed follow their father's footsteps? We'll dive right into this detail. But before we do so, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exclusive content on the Beatles. The Beatles are 4 of the most famous musicians in history, regarded as one of the most influential bands of all time. Even at that, they still had private lives, which involves a family. The Fab Four were all husbands and fathers, with a total of 11 children from the 4 of them. As of now, all Beatles children are creatives and are involved in the different creative niches. John Lennon's children include Julian and Sean. Also, Paul McCartney's children are Heather, Mary, Stella, James, and Beatrice. Danny Harrison, the only son of George Harrison. Ringo Starr's children are Zach, Jason, and Lee. Let's start with Paul McCartney's children. They all had involvement in art one way or the other. He has the highest number of children amongst the 4 of them. Heather found fame at a young age and featured in the Beatles film Let It Be and the documentary series Get Back. Like many of the Beatles' offspring, she found a creative career and is best known for her work in poetry. Heather is also a vegetarian and animal rights activist, but is not much in the eye of the public. His second child, Mary, is a photographer and long-term animal rights activist and campaigner. She's a global ambassador for Meat-Free Monday and Green Monday. Stella McCartney, on the other hand, is arguably the most famous of the Beatles' offspring. Stella McCartney is an internationally renowned fashion designer. She designed Meghan Markle's evening wedding dress and has seen her clothes worn by the likes of Queen Letizia of Spain, Kate Hudson, Karlie Kloss, and Rihanna. Beatrice, the youngest child, is still a student and is not yet in the eye of the public. James McCartney is the only son of Sir Paul and his late wife Linda. Just like his father, he has also gotten himself involved in music. He has played on some of his father's albums as well as releasing music on his own. After largely shunning the limelight, even working as a waiter in Brighton, he later followed his father's musical footsteps. His early life was spent on the road with his parents as they toured with the group Wings. He later played guitar on Sir Paul's records Flaming Pie and Driving Rain, as well as The Light Comes From Within. This is a track he recorded with his mother before her death from breast cancer in 1998. He finally released his debut single Available Light in 2010 before releasing his first album, Me, in 2013, and second, The Blackberry Train, in 2016, all co-produced by his father. He previously said he aimed to be better than the Beatles. He said, "When I got to a certain age, I realized that I was somewhat better than other kids in school at guitar, and took pride and enjoyment in that. I then dreamt of being better than the Beatles. I'm not sure if I can do that. If anything, I would love to be equal to the Beatles, but even that's quite tough." He also revealed he was considering forming a group featuring the offspring of the Fab Four, including Ringo Starr's son, Jason, Lennon's youngest son, Sean, and George Harrison's only son, Danny. During an interview with BBC, he was asked if a new Beatles could happen and if any of the other Beatles children would buy the idea. He said, "Yeah, hopefully, naturally. I don't know. You'd have to wait and see. The will of God, nature's support, I guess. So yeah, maybe." He said he was up for it and added that Sean and Danny had previously also shown support for the idea. John Lennon had 2 sons, Julian, 58 years old, and Sean, 46 years old, from both his wives, Cynthia and Yoko Ono. The half-brothers have followed in their father's footsteps, both working as musicians. Sean was only 5 when his dad was killed in 1980, with Julian having to break the news to him. Despite a strained relationship growing up, they always still make out time for family. Julian, on the other hand, works as a photographer and has made peace with the partial estrangement from his father before his death. It also seems like his friendship with Sean is going some way to provide the paternal relationship that both of them missed. You would always catch them saying things like, "Sean is the one person I care about more than anything in the world, and that's here to love and support him, and that he's here to love and support him, till the end of time and then some." This wasn't always the case with the Lennon brothers. Their father's divorce from Julian's mom, Cynthia, and marriage to Sean's mother, Yoko, led to a strained relationship. Then, after John's murder in 1980, there were decades of mistrust plus a dispute over John's £250 million legacies. a mutual friend had daily mail some time ago. They have been friends for about 20 years, but are growing closer as time passes. People talk about them as if they were enemies, and there was a lot of pain, and a lot of that was very public, but not anymore. The person claims Yoko had said about 10 years ago, "You know that we are a family with Julian, and sometimes families have disagreements. Julian and Sean have always had a bond outside of all that. They love each other." The public chapter of this brotherly reunion started at the LA launch of the 3-part documentary The Beatles Get Back, which launched on Disney last year. They sat next to each other at the screening and afterward mingled at a party thrown by Sir Paul McCartney's daughter, Stella. Julian, who has never married, lives in Monaco, while Sean is based in New York with his girlfriend, who is a model. His model girlfriend is Kemp Moole, and she is 34 years old. Julian made his musical debut at age 11 on his father's album, Walls and Bridges, and was the inspiration behind Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, About a Drawing, and Hey Jude, which Paul McCartney wrote to cheer him up when his parents were divorcing. A Renaissance man, he released his first album, Volate, in 1984, and is best known for his lead single, Too Late for Goodbyes. After that, he has released 6 more albums, held exhibitions of his fine art photography, and has had several children's books published. Sean has continued to make music and go on music tours, and Julian has moved into photographic and philanthropic work. He now runs the White Feather Foundation, which works on environmental and humanitarian issues, and is behind a scholarship dedicated to women's education founded in his mother's memory. Cynthia died in 2015. He's also written children's books. Both men go out of their way to support one another and thoroughly enjoy each other's company. After their years of estrangement, each other's company must be a greater treasure than they ever imagined. Sean and Julian are also friends with other children of the Beatles, having posted pictures with James and Stella McCartney in the past. Following in the footsteps of his famous dad, Sean has lent his talents as a musician and producer to veteran high-profile groups, as well as boosting his solo music material. He has also been a member of many bands like Chiba Mato, The Ghost of a Saber-Toothed Tiger, the Claypool Lennon Delirium, and his parents' group Plastic Ono Band, and also has 2 solo albums under his belt, Into the Sun and Friendly Fire. Danny Harrison, the only son of George Harrison, had tried out different jobs. Initially, he did not want to be a musician and had done everything possible to avoid it, but life happened. He finally launched a musical career in 2006. He started by playing lead guitar and vocals with a rock band, The New No 2, saying in an interview that the whole music thing is in his DNA. Although he never cared about being popular, he would always tell people his father pushed him. He admitted his father taught him how to make records from an early age. He claimed he practically grew up in a recording studio. Then he claimed that it was his father's death that ultimately decided his choice of career. Ringo Starr's sons also seem to be following in their father's footsteps, as his 2 sons, Zach and Jason, are both drummers. His daughter Lee is in the fashion line. She runs a boutique. Zach was given his first professional drum kit by his godfather, Keith Moon of The Who, and took over Moon's role in the band in the mid-90s. He has also played with his father's group, Ringo's All-Star Band. Also, in April 2006, he joined Oasis as their drummer. His brother Jason was also a drummer like his dad, but dropped it along the line. He has worked with various indie bands, including his group Musty Jack Sponge and the Exploding Nudists. Jason has settled down with being a photographer after revealing that being Ringo Starr's son is the biggest drag of his life. He feels it is total pain for reasons best known to him. That's all for today's video, guys. But before we end, what do you think about the Beatles kids forming a new Beatles band? Who do you think loves and wants to do music genuinely? Do you feel all Beatles sons will follow in their father's footsteps and hold top positions on billboards? Let us know what you think in the comment section below. And if you haven't by now, ensure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any new updates about the Beatles.